matter what track I rode, Glen Helen, only third gear.
I met a gypsy.
Yeah, that's gnarly. Wait, I want to actually, before we go to the Europe stuff, what was that Rocky Mountain bike like compared to your Aussie bike? Is there a big difference in 450s that you could feel?
Yeah, power-wise, it was the same. But the biggest thing was it was just a little bit easier to ride because all you had to use was second and third gear, whereas the Aussie bike that I had was second, third, and fourth.
So why do you reckon that it was like that?
I don't know what they did to the engine or whatever, but it was just well, I know they ran a 14 front tooth sprocket, and at home I tried asking to run a 14, but being on a small team with a small budget, if I run the 14, then it's going to wear out the chain guards a lot faster, and me being my own practice bike mechanic, I probably wouldn't change them. You
would have broke some cases.
It just would have been more work for me as well. So I was like, let's just stay the 30.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, it was really good because it didn't matter what track I rode, Glen Helen, only third gear. So you only had to change up and down once, So when... what it's like when you ride a 450, a 4-stroke, you're already lazy, and then you go back and ride a 125 and you're like, man, I'm so busy.
Yeah.
It's the exact same. So, but yeah, power-wise was all the same. It was just that little bit easier to ride.
So when you were in the States and riding like Glen Helen, what tracks did you end up riding over there?
We rode Parla, Milestone, and Glen Helen.
Yeah. And what was it like to be on those tracks and see who was out there? I know you said Barsha was there.
Yeah, well, there wasn't that many guys out there because their season had already finished.
Yeah.
And so it was just Barsha and Plessinger because they were getting ready, and a few other star guys. But I don't really remember because the first day we went to Parla, and there was a problem with my suspension, so I didn't actually get on the track until all those guys had left. And by the time I got on the track, the thing was fully baked.
Yeah.
Sahara Desert.
It would have been so bad.
Yeah, so, you always see it on Facebook or Instagram. It's always
just
plowed
mint.
nicely. It must be first thing in
That's
the morning.
from 9 till 11:30,
Yeah.
and then everyone pieces out.
Oh, well, I didn't get on the track till 1:30.
No, that's not the move.
And plus, it was 40 degrees.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't as enjoyable as I thought, but Glen Helen was cool. But I had already ridden Glen Helen in 2015. I went over there and spent some time with Jackson.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And Jackson let us ride his bikes and whatnot. So, Glen Helen's a weird sort of dirt, hey?
It's it looks tackier than what it is.
Yeah.
And it's got
So
a bit
slippery.
of different base.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me of Mantova or something, because just on a small scale, Mantova is that sandy, but then a real hard base, and it's really slippery.
Yeah.
And it gets it gets rough, but a weird sort of rough. The track falls away instead of building up.
Yeah, and instead of you being able to go harder into it, the rougher it gets, you've got to back off the track almost.
Yeah, and instead of playing with the bumps and whatnot, you kind of got to zigzag the bumps.
Just go around them.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.